Harry gave me the sort of smile you give a toddler who inquires about Santa's elves. I asked where I might find him.
No idea at all.
Do you know where he might be speaking next?
No.
I thought for a moment. How did you happen to book him into Der Bau? He frowned over this question, as if I might be approaching the boundary between curiosity and presumptuousness.
Now, this isn't Caesar's palace here, my friend. Arrangements are made in all sorts of ways, and are usually very offhand. We don't go through any process you'd recognize as booking acts.
But you must have had some way of reaching it.
Oh, he might have had, and if you put a gun to my head, I might be able to dig it up, but short of that, I'm not likely to. That's just the way it is, old chum. This isn't a missing persons bureau, and I've got other things to do.
I told him I understood, thanked him anyway, and got up to leave.
Come back later, Harry said. You can always find people to talk if you're buying drinks, and someone in the crowd may know more than I do about this guy.
I thanked him again and went back to the hotel. Sitting here in my room, pacing, staring out the window, it suddenly popped into my memory that when the heroes of fairy tales don't know what to do, they just sit down and weep. In the same circumstances, a modern hero can slug somebody or go out and get drunk, but he can never just sit down and weep. I read enough detective stories to know I should go pry some information out of somebody, but who? Sitting here staring at this notebook, it has finally occurred to me that there's something I've avoided doing. And that's reading the talk I took down in my other notebook last night at Der Bau. I confess to having a strong reluctance to do that. Interesting, I remember the title of the talk, The Great Forgetting, but I've forgotten what the Great Forgetting is. I haven't really forgotten it, of course, but I've shut the door of my memory on it, which means that... Hello?
Hello, Osborne?
Yes, who is this?
The devil do you think you're doing?
What?
Do you understand what you're supposed to be doing here?
Who is this?
I was led to expect someone marginally competent.
It was impossible to miss the drift of the conversation, and I was certainly getting the rough end of it. I tried to rally a bit of self-defense. I don't know who you are, or who appointed you my house mother, but I know who I am. I'm a parish priest. If you were expecting James Bond, either you were misled or you misled yourself.
Does being a parish priest mean you live in a coma?
I'm sorry to have been a source of disappointment for you. With that crusher, I hung up, something I don't think I've done to a caller since junior high. There's nothing to beat it when your back is against the wall. As expected, he called back immediately.
The girl is sick. The girl is dying.
What? For a second, I thought he was giving me a password of some kind. Maybe I was supposed to reply with, "But the swallows will return to Capistrano anyway." You mean the one who was signing?
Of course. Didn't you see her face?
I saw her face. I just didn't realize it was... What is it, lupus? Lupus isn't fatal, is it?
It's scleroderma, or possibly mixed connective tissue disease. They're all in the same family, including lupus. It's an autoimmune collagen disease, degenerative, incurable.
Okay, and what am I supposed to do with this information?
Radinau has a research facility devoted to the study and treatment of collagen diseases. That's what the two of them are doing in Central Europe. Radinau is the center of the circle, 90 kilometers south of Hamburg.
So what are you saying? When in doubt, head for Radinau?
When in doubt, remember that Radinau is the center of the circle.
Somebody could have told me this at the outset.
Someone could have told me about it too, but nobody did. I dug it out for myself.
This news did not make me happy, but I managed to keep it to myself. That brings me back to my original question. Who the hell are you? And if you're taking care of this, what am I supposed to be doing?
You're supposed to be leading, and I'm supposed to be following. You're not even supposed to know I'm here.
Why am I not supposed to know you're here?
I don't know. Maybe the idea is not to tax your powers of dissimulation. Or maybe the idea is to make you take some initiative.
Fuck you, Charlie. Some people are shocked when they hear a cleric talk as dirty as a third grader, but this one just waited. Listen, I'm not a detective. I admit it. I could use some help.
Not from me. Get out there and do some work.
The line went dead. I got out my map, and that helped a lot. In a circle around Rathenau, there were 50 major cities where B might be speaking. Nuremberg, Dresden, Berlin, Kiel, Hamburg, Bremen, Essen, Cologne, Frankfurt, Heidelberg, and Stuttgart, to mention just a few. There would have been nothing to it if Billy Graham had been out there touring. But how the devil was I supposed to track the speaking engagements of a virtual unknown named B? Finding no inspiration in geography, I spent some time wondering who Charlie is. A civilian, surely. In other words, not a member of the order. As people will, I conjured up a figure to fit the voice. I put him at age 35, wiry, of middling height and weight. Some sort of military or paramilitary type with a rat-like face and cheap clothes dating from the 1950s. As is evident from all this, Charlie had failed to win my affection. I toyed briefly with the idea of calling Father Lulfra and asking what the deal was, but couldn't find a shadow of an argument to support it. If Charlie knows where B is, what does he gain by withholding this information from me? If he wants to make me look bad, why call and give me hints? On the phone, he tried to sell me an explanation for these mysteries. He was dealing with a lazy schoolboy. I'd done my homework poorly, and he wasn't going to give me the right answers. He was there to give me a taste of the stick. Now, that makes sense if he really is a military type. He's treating this like boot camp. Okay. As far as I can see, there's only one fact in everything he told me that is both hard and relevant. Wherever else B and the girl go, they eventually end up back in Rathenau. I have to assume this is the best information Charlie has. If he knew for a fact that B is going to spend the summer in Spitzbergen, for example, he certainly wouldn't give me all this dizdaz about Rathenau. If I'm right about this, then Charlie himself is heading for Rathenau. And that, I have to suppose, is what he called to tell me. Isn't it grand to be educated? Saturday, May 18, Rathenau. Departing after a late, leisurely breakfast, I was in Hamburg by mid-afternoon. Germany is smaller than Montana, and traveling from one end of it to another on the high-speed intercity express makes it seem even smaller. Not much of Rathenau predates the 1940s. Albert Speer, Hitler's architect and technocrat-in-chief, had something or other in mind for it during the late stages of the war, but certainly not a fine arts center. I think it was going to be a place where factories would really feel at home during the 1,000-year Reich. Now it's a sprawling industrial park dotted with apartment complexes indistinguishable from barracks. The only good things my guidebook could find to say about the hotel where I'd booked was that it was modern and scrupulously clean, and it was both of those. It was also downtown, which is to say, in the older part of the city. Old Rathenau doesn't even pretend to be quaint. I'd spent my time on the train making a readable longhand copy of The Great Forgetting to send Father Lulfra. When I checked in at the hotel, I asked the desk clerk if they had a fax machine, and he drew himself up as indignantly as if I'd asked about indoor plumbing. I'm glad I had a fax to placate him with. I'm going to have a bath, a long meditative dinner, meditating about as few things as possible, and perhaps a stroll before bed. No more than that. No work till tomorrow.